Good morning, boys and girls. Happy Thursday. I know today is officially spring break, but reading is so important, and I want to continue to read to you. So I'm going to post these videos throughout the weekend, not on Saturday or Sunday, but throughout spring break, reading a chapter of Wayside. School gets a little stranger. This afternoon, when Mr. Forbes gets home from work, we're going to move the caterpillars into their new larger container. We're going to tape the whole thing. That should be interesting. Bring your popcorn. Okay, but right now I'm going to read to you one from Shel Silverstein, Where the Sidewalk Ends. It's called Pancake. A lot of you on the What's Cooking, that's what you made. A lot of really good pancake recipes. A lot of really good recipes. A couple I may actually try. So thank you. Who wants a pancake sweet and piping hot? Good little Grace says. Looks up and says, I'll take the one on the top. Who wants a pancake fresh off the griddle? Terrible Teresa smiles and says, I'll take the one in the middle. You can see why that's a problem. Yeah. Okay. Something silly. Okay. So chapter 12 is noses. And you can remember Mr. Gorf had a special talent. He was able to suck up the children's voices through his third nostril. Ew. Mr. Gorf unlocked the door. I don't want any... Mr. Gorf locked the door. Big difference. I don't want any more interruptions, he said. Very quietly, Leslie slipped a piece of paper out of her desk. Then she felt around for a pencil. Mr. Gorf returned to the teacher's desk. He opened the top drawer and took out the class list. It had the names of all the children in the class, their parents' names, and their parents' phone numbers. Let's play a game, he said, speaking in his own normal French donkey with a sore throat voice. The name of the game is Who Am I Now? Leslie found a pencil. She held a piece of paper and wrote on her lap, where Mr. Gorf couldn't see it. She wrote help in big letters. She had to get it to Louis, the art teacher. Mr. Gorf touched the tip of his nose. Who am I now? He asked. It was a girl's voice, soft and warm with just a little bit of a giggle in it. Everyone looked at Rondi. Rondi, said Mr. Gorf. He opened his briefcase and removed a portable phone. He dialed Rondi's home number. Hello, Mommy, Mr. Gorf said into the phone, using Rondi's voice. No, nothing's wrong. I just called to say I hate you. You're the worst mommy in the whole world. You're ugly and you smell bad, and it's not fair. Out of all the mommies in the world, I got stuck with you. He hung up the phone. Rondi sat in her chair crying. Mr. Gorf touched his nose. Isn't this a good game? He said, sounding much like a sick French donkey. Rondi is crying, and at home her mother is crying too. He laughed. Too bad you won't ever be able to tell you're sorry, Rondi. Leslie carefully took the piece of paper and folded it into an airplane. There was one open window by Sherry's desk. Mr. Gorf touched his nose. Who am I now? Everyone tried not to look at Joe. Mr. Gorf called Joe's mother at work. Hello, Mommy, he said. I hate you, and I wish you'd go away forever, and then maybe Daddy will marry somebody good this time. Leslie knew she only had one chance. It would take a perfect throw. She tossed the paper airplane toward the window. Mr. Gorf saw it. Hey, he shouted. The airplane sailed closer, but then at the last second it made a sudden turn and hit the wall and landed against on the floor. Mr. Gorf laughed. He picked up the airplane and unfolded it. Help, he sneered. No one can help you now. You took my mommy away from me, and now I'm going to take your mommies away from you. He touched his nose. Who am I now? He asked. It was Leslie's voice. He started to dial her home phone number, but was interrupted by a knock on the door. Oh, Mr. Gorf, sang Miss Mush. Yes, said Mr. Gorf, still in Leslie's voice. He touched his nose and cleared his throat. Yes. This time he sounded like a donkey with tonsillitis. He touched his nose again. Yes, he asked in the pleasant voice he took from the Scottish gentleman. It's me again, said Miss Mush. Miss Mush's voice was like two boots sloshing through the mud. I baked you a pie, Mr. Gorf, to welcome you to Wayside School. Mr. Gorf sighed. You are very kind, Miss Mush, he said, but we are all quite busy at the moment. Perhaps another. It's best to eat it while it's still warm, said Miss Mush. You probably don't get fresh pies very often, being a bachelor and all. I really hate to disturb the class, said Mr. Gorf. I'll tell you what. I'll just come outside for a moment, and you can hand it to me. He glared at the class, daring them to move. Then he opened the door. I hope you like pepper pie, said Miss Mush, and she smashed it in his face. Mr. Gorf turned around. His face was covered with a thick pepper cream. He sneezed. Calvin laughed. Hey, I got my voice back, said Calvin. Wait a second, this isn't my voice. I sound like Bebe. Mr. Gorf sneezed again. I can talk, said Jenny, but who am I? Mr. Gorf sneezed. You're Mauricia, said Jason. Jason sounded like the gentleman from Scotland. Mr. Gorf kept sneezing. Who might I be, Sonny? Paul cackled. He sounded like somebody's grandmother. Todd barked. Achoo! Mr. Gorf sneezed so hard that his nose flew off his face. He screamed like a donkey, then ran noseless out of the room. Oh, gross, said Jason. Now I sound like Allison. Bebe said something in Italian. Nobody panic, said Miss Mush. Your voices are bouncing around. Try to find out where they belong. It might take a while, but soon you'll all be back to normal. How do you know? Asked Leslie, although she sounded like Paul. And how did you know the smash of pepper pie in Mr. Gorf's face? I wasn't exactly sure to explain, Miss Mush, but when I came up the first time, I heard Kathy say, have a nice day. So either Kathy decided to be nice to me, or Mr. Gorf was a mean teacher who stuck children's voices up his nose. She shrugged. I just didn't think Kathy would be nice. Maybe if you learned to brush your teeth, muttered Kathy. Mr. Gorf's nose lay on the floor. Miss Mush picked it up and put it in her apron pocket. It will go good in spaghetti sauce, she said. Oh. Soon all the children had their real voices back. Ronnie and Joe called their mothers on Mr. Gorf's portable phone and told them that they loved them. While far away in a small village in Scotland, a man who hadn't spoken to his wife for 20 years turned to his wife and said, Top of the morning to you, Tilly. Tilly's a short way of Matilda. It's like a nickname. Okay, so chapter 13 is the new teacher. Well, they're going to need another one. I mean, they're just going through teachers left and right. All right, boys and girls, if you haven't finished, make sure you check your Google Classroom to make sure that you've completed all assignments that are due. You don't want to have to be worrying about them at the last possible second. I know I have sent some assignments back because they weren't complete. So make sure you check your Google Classroom. Don't go, oh, I'm done, that's it. Look back, because sometimes the teacher will give you a chance to make up your work, to fix any mistakes you made. All right? Hi, boys and girls, and see you later this afternoon when we move those guys over there in the cups to their bigger butterfly habitat. I will lock up Neville. I promise. All right, bye.